Roanoke The Lost Colony. In 1584, Sir Walter Raleigh, as seen here, gained the rights from Queen Elizabeth I of England, shown in this depiction, to colonize in what is now known as Virginia. The charter stated that he had 10 years to develop a colony or he would lose rights to the land. Their intention was to provide riches and use the land in battles with Spain. He sent a group led by Philip Armatus and Arthur Barlow to the location shown here to explore the area and find a suitable spot to develop. The area chosen was decidedly a good spot to be able to battle the Spanish, as this site was north of them. It was on this journey that they made contact with the Native Americans known as Croatan. The Croatan were one of the Algonquin peoples. Their land may have looked like this. The Croatan, now extinct, lived in what is now Dare County, shown on this map in North Carolina. They were said to have been friendly with the English. It is said that when they returned to England, they brought back two Indians, Wansanchi and Monteo. Some say this was so Raleigh could learn of the coastal tribes, and some say to relieve tensions between the tribes and the English. The following spring began a journey of all men that were sent to establish the territory found earlier. This was led by Richard Grenville. Due to the lack of food and a theft from the local Indian tribe, the settlement was delayed. When Grenville returned to England to report the findings to Raleigh, he left behind about 75 men to establish the area. He made promises to return in April of 1586 with food, supplies, and more men. When April came and went, Sir Francis Drake, portrayed here, was on his way home from battle in the Caribbean and offered the colonists a ride back to England. They accepted the offer. Shortly after their departure, Grenville arrived with the relief for the colonists, but the land was deserted, so leaving a small group there to protect Raleigh's claim to the land, he again returned to England. In 1587, Raleigh again sent a group of colonists. This time the group was comprised of 117 men and women, led by his friend John White. They were asked to find the 15 men previously left behind by Sir Francis Drake. They were also to settle farther north in the Chesapeake Bay region. They never found the men. The local tribe, the Croatans, informed them that the men had been attacked, but that 9 of them had survived and had headed up the coast. White repaired relationships with the Croatans and tried to reestablish relationships with other tribes damaged by Ralph Lane's previous attack on them. However, relations were not to be re-established. After the murder of a colonist by a tribesman, the colonists requested that John return to England to request assistance. On August 18th, White's daughter Eleanor gave birth to the first English-born in the Americas. She was named Virginia Dare, and behind me is what she may have looked like all grown up. When John White returned to England, a relief trip was planned, but then delayed due to upcoming weather. The next obstacle was the Spanish Armada, which took all the available ships to fight. White was able to hire 2 small vessels for the trip back to Roanoke. He set sail in the spring of 1588. On the way, the captain of the ships attempted to capture other ships for their own profit. This resulted in their capture and theft of goods on board. Since there were no more goods to bring to Roanoke, they returned to England. Due to the war with Spain, John White was unable to bring relief to Roanoke for 3 more years. Finally, he got a ride on a ship that agreed to drop him and the supplies off at Roanoke on the way back to the Caribbean. On August 18, 1590, his granddaughter's 3rd birthday, he landed at Roanoke only to find it deserted. Before having left 3 years earlier, they agreed if anything happened, they would carve a Maltese cross on a tree to indicate that they had been forcibly moved. This symbol was not found anywhere. All the houses were dismantled. They did, however, find crow carved into a tree and Croatoan carved into a post at the fort. Unfortunately, with the weather bearing down, they were unable to look any further and returned to England the next day. There are many guesses as to what happened to them. One of the assumptions is that they went to the Croatoan island and were absorbed in the Croatoan tribe. Others guess that the colony was destroyed by an enemy. People have even gone as far as to suggest alien abduction. Today the site is the first attempted American colony. Roanoke is referred to as Fort Raleigh National Historic Site. Since 1653, people have been digging at the Roanoke site looking for clues. Professional archaeologists have been working this site since the 1940s. They have found artifacts from the colonists, but have not found the site of their village. The most significant find was found in 1998. It was a 10-carat signet ring with a lion crest from the 16th century. The crest has been traced to Master Kendall, who lived on the Roanoke colony with Ralph Lane. This may be the first real connection between the Croatans and the Roanoke colony, because it was found in the Croatoan project. There are also DNA test plans for the remains found to try and prove relations between the Croatans and the Roanoke colony. Until then, they are still considered lost. If you have any information leading to their findings, please call the number on the screen.